Om Sai Ram, Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha, Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Today, in this series of satsangs, we will talk about the significance of Sai Satcharita. Why do we have to read about the stories of great gurus, really? If we look at it, it provides an easy access, and it makes you go through the God realization very quickly. In 1911, Hemant Pant felt like writing about Sai's life. He starts the first chapter with the grinding of wheat. Why this fascinated him, and by watching him grinding the wheat, how it transformed Hemant Pant's intellect, how he was able to have the concept of writing about Sai. This stimulation of mind turned him into a seeker of God realization. He started thinking, why this fakir-like person is doing this strange thing? What is he going to do with this wheat flour? We all know the meaning and story why Baba used the flour and how he eradicated the cholera in Shirdi. What is the significance here? What it has to do with the inception of Sai Satcharita in the mind of Hemant Pant? If we carefully observe the spiritual meaning behind this, Hemant Pant was really blessed, and Baba knows how to use different devotees for different kinds of duties or worship that can be allotted. Depending on our karma and whatever we have to fulfill in this life, He will assign some duties to us. When He assigns those duties, that will really help us to get rid of some of the sins so that we can move towards God realization. He will decide what is best for us. If we take Ramayana, God Himself chose Valmiki Maharshi to write Ramayana. In a similar way, Sai chose Hemant Pant. By showing the leela of the grinding of the wheat, he grinded all his past karmas so that he can walk the path of Sai. Only Paramagurus like Shirdi Sai can change our Sanchita karma so that we can become closer to God realization. Hemant Pant started writing Sai Satcharita in 1917. By 1918, that was like Baba's Mahasamadhi time in October, he wrote only 2 chapters. From 1918 to 1929, he wrote 50 chapters. Let's look at how this all played out in the beginning. Hemant Pant requested Mr. Madhavrao Deshpande, that is Shyama, to speak to Baba on his behalf. When Baba heard this request, he was moved and blessed him by giving Udi, that is sacred ashes, and placing his hand on his head and said, "Let him make a collection of stories and experiences. Keep notes and memos. I will help him. He is only an outward instrument. I should write myself my autobiography and satisfy the wishes of my devotees. He should get rid of his ego, place it at my feet." That means he had to surrender his ego. He who acts like this in life, him I help the most. What of my life stories? I serve him in his house in all possible ways. When his ego is completely annihilated, and there is left no trace of it, I myself shall enter into him, and shall myself write my own life. If we observe here, listening to Sai's words, Sai says that he will write his story, and Hemant Pant is just an instrument. Please realize what this means. Baba is telling his own story to bless us and get rid of our sins. Why people getting their wishes fulfilled by doing Parayana? This is why. Because these are Baba's words. Baba himself wrote the Sai Satcharita to bless all of us. Here we have to understand what Baba expects from us. He wants us to walk the path of self-realization, and he wants us to follow him so that we can cross the ocean of birth and death cycle. Baba also gave his word by saying, hearing my stories and teachings will create faith in devotees' hearts, and they will easily get self-realization and bliss. Let there be no insistence on establishing one's own view, no attempt to refute others' opinions, no discussions of pros and cons of any subject. These are very reassuring words. To attain salvation, there are different standards in different yugas. In Krita Yuga, it was about controlling the senses and subduing your passions. And in Treta Yuga, sacrifices, that is yagnas. In Dwapar Yuga, rituals. And whereas in Kali Yuga, mainly reciting the name and singing the praises of God, a simple means of salvation. Listening to the life story of the Guru is the easy road to salvation. Only those who have good deeds to their credit from their past births will listen to these stories. If someone is in tamasic state, that is one of the gunas of the three that we talk about, sattva, rajo, tama gunas. So if somebody is in tamasic state, Guru will wake us up. And if somebody is going through rajoguna, then also Guru will help us. Of course, if we go through sattva guna, Guru advances us towards God realization. Performing yoga and sacrifices, practicing meditation and concentration, that is dhyana, requires great efforts. Whereas listening or reading Sai Satcharita requires no efforts other than attentiveness. So Sai Bandhus, understand the significance of devotion towards Sai and reading about his stories. Om Sai Ram. Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha. Sri Satchidananda